Welcome back to Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. I'm your host, Nico, and joining with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. You know, maybe we'll start with a little bit of hockey talk like we do usually around this time. This is our year. It's happening. It's happening, folks. Let's see it. Come on, let's close them out. Let's close them out tomorrow, guys. We're close to closing out getting past the first round here against Ottawa. So if you guys are hockey fans out there and hopefully not an Ottawa fan, let's go Leafs.
Let's go, Leafs, go.
Let's see that happen. Let's make it happen finally. Close it out. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you give us that like button, hit that thumbs up there if you like what you saw here today, and check out some of our other videos here on the Late Night Chat Network, all kinds of different stuff. We're also going to be putting out a video for the new comic book solicitations. I know you guys have been liking those videos, so make sure to check in the feed after this episode. There will be an episode of the new comic book solicitations for, I think it's July 2025 that we're going to be going over. If I'm not mistaken, it's either that or August, but I think it's July. That's the next one. Yeah. So that'll be kind of me and Chris talking about upcoming books, things that we're looking forward to checking out, give you an idea of what we're looking forward to in the coming months from, Marvel, DC, and some of the other smaller publishers, Image. Today, we're going to be talking about the new comic books that came out for the week of April 23rd, 2025. And spoiler warning, be forewarned if you're worried about us spoiling what's going to happen in these books here for you. You can always read your books and come back because we'll be, showing off some of the artwork and talking about what happened in these books. So just be forewarned on that. All right, Chris.
All right. Let's talk comics.
I got a big one here today. Big bottle.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
You get that at the corner store?
I had to go get a 40, This was actually in the LCBO this week, so I was like, oh, I don't see those that often, so I was like, I gotta get that for the show.
I can have one beer.
Yeah. I have one beer with the show. It's got to be a big one, right? Oh, just put the lemon in there. All right, cheers.
Cheers.
All right, what we got going on here? First up on the docket here today, we got One World Under Doom #3.
Let's see. Oh, there we are. It's got the A cover.
Yeah, I got this one. All right, what'd you think of this, Chris?
This one's not too bad. This is the one with the Avengers, right? The Avengers kind of step up to the plate.
Yeah.
And they bring in their Masters of Evil. Or, well, I know they're, I don't want to say maybe not Masters of Evil, but they're evil allies there.
Yeah.
It's a pretty sad saga allies that they got.
Yeah.
But I guess to the effect that they were supposed to be used as a diversion. It seemed to even surprise Doom when they kind of showed up on the field. And I think while they were out there diverting Doom's attention, they had Madeline Pryor, was it? And who else? Scarlet Witch. There was another telekinetic there, wasn't there? With them, kind of going into the world leaders to find out how Doom sort of influenced them or what sort of mind control they were under. So there's a lot of action in there. It wasn't a bad story, but I'm kind of enjoying watching all these heroes get freaking stymied by Dr. Doom and what's going on. So I'm enjoying this kind of the storyline here. And the spoiler at the end with is it Dormammu kind of realizing that Dr. Doom might not be taking his Sorcerer Supreme duties quite as seriously, and he's more worried about taking over the world. He might see that it's a time to strike. And I think Doom's the way they have Doom kind of playing his cards. I'm enjoying that. There's I think one scene where the raft there's a prison break there, and then Doom kind of says, "Look, you guys can help me here, or it's going to get leaked to the world that you decided to mess around with me here while the havoc is reaped from the prison break." So it's good stuff.
Yeah, I've liked it as well. I think one of the best things about this so far is they keep trying to come up with a way to understand as to how Doom is influencing people into liking him. But it just turns out you know, they're
Yeah, he just give them what they want.
they're enjoying what he's giving them. Exactly. I
If
mean,
you want to
yeah,
hold on to your power, you're going to look like a good guy. You know, you just got to listen to me.
I like that as a twist that people just like Doom. Like they're just like, yeah. And the Avengers are like, I don't know what he's doing, but people are just you know, then in this, they're just kind of reminded by the fact once again that no matter what they do, it's like they're gonna come off looking like the bad guys unless they play along with him, it seems like right now, because he's kind of outsmarting them at every turn somewhat, right? So I'm really enjoying that. And like a Dormammu thing was very interesting, like you said, that happened at the end of here. And yeah, I'm digging this. I'm liking this. I think as an event, this has been pretty good so far, honestly. Even some of the tie-ins, I think yeah, it's very good. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. So, what'd you give this?
No, I give it a 3.75.
Yeah, close to a 4 for me this week, but yeah, I'll give it 3.75. I agree with you. And then next up, we got Avengers 25, which is a tie-in to One World Under Doom. What'd you think about this? This is
Yeah,
basically into the Masters of Evil some more. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess this is the true Masters of Evil here. I thought the art for this one was over the top, or right on the money, over the top. I thought it was great art. And once again, these Masters of Evil, other than this mad thinker, there it is, another story went to a sad sacks. And who's this dominatrix one there?
Yeah.
I think she piqued my attention for sure, but that's a crazy character. She did have some good stuff with that Madcap where she kind of just blows him away. And then I think somebody else was it's like, whoa, just because he has healing capabilities, you shouldn't use it so lightly. And then you kind of hear under her breath, oh, I didn't know he had healing powers. But otherwise, I don't know about the way they took over this impossible city. They seem to take that city over too easily, and this is supposed to be some sort of impregnable fortress. But once they do have power, they got some tools to use. Having that Ashen Combine sort of on ice, and they're planning to use those as a weapon to threaten Doom. And it's funny how you have these villains here basically being the freedom fighters. They're like, we might be bad, but we don't want anybody to tell us what to do, good or bad. And they got some tools at their disposal now. And looks like we had what's their Falcon, and I guess the Impossible City is sort of taking the form of a robot or a plastizoid or something. And they seem to team up and put some power together. That was kind of cool to see too. So this was surprisingly a good issue, especially for Avengers. I've been waiting for a decent issue from them. That was sort of one of their own stories. So that was fun to read.
Yeah, I agree. I think out of the two this week, I actually like this a little bit more than One World Under Doom because of the fun focus on these CD list type villain people they had in this issue. I always enjoy that. I always enjoy the villains being kind of the center of attention once in a while, and especially when it's villains that we haven't seen in some time. Like I haven't seen Madcap in a long time, but realistically though, he is very powerful, like in the sense that you can't really take him out as easily as you would think, like they illustrated in this issue. That one chick, she's from like a miniseries, Marvel Boy miniseries that Morrison did back like 20 years ago or something. I don't think
like a Grant Morrison character.
It is. I think he created her. I think she was in that miniseries. I think that was her debut, if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. I mean, I don't think she may have popped up like a couple of times since then. So like to see her in this, I kind of like when they use underused people and have fun with them because the stakes aren't as high. And sometimes like people can really mine for gold on very interesting characters in this way. And I think Jed MacKay does a really good job at that kind of stuff, actually. So I actually think Jed MacKay does a better job when he's given lesser characters than bigger characters, as we've seen in this Avengers series for the most part, right? Like I think between the Avengers and X-Men, when he's kind of doing these team books, I don't think we've seen him like when he did the Doctor Strange book or the Moon Knight book, like characters that maybe aren't like in the front and center stage. I think he does a lot better job with those types of Black Cat, right? So I dug this a lot. I like Mad Thinker. Like this was a really fun kind of issue off to the side as a tie-in with the villains involved in all this, right? And the whole stuff with him taking off his head here with the shield. Sam Wilson at the end of this issue was pretty sick too. I liked it, and like you said, art was good, and I dug this. What'd you give this, Chris?
Yeah, I'll give this a 4. I like this. Like I said, I
Same,
like this
yeah,
better than the Doom one.
yeah. I'll give this a 4 out of 5 for sure. And then you got Those Not Afraid, number 4, which I'm happy to say I guessed right. This is not the last we're gonna see of this series.
Well, this couldn't be the last. Holy smokes, what an issue!
Yeah.
Every what happened in the last issue is that new player was going to sort of enter the game, and holy smokes, does he enter this game? But in the beginning, you see some kid getting picked up by a bus. Okay, whatever. That's how it's these horror comics kind of start with a little slice of life. I don't know if that's on like the next page. That bus is driven off a bridge, and you see some guy scurrying away. Then you hear in the news that the bus driver was killed. And then, you got some guy sitting in a park. I don't know if he was supposed to be a pedo or not, because, I think there was something said later on that, this guy was just attacking. Yeah.
He's the Punisher. This guy's basically the Punisher, this character, in a way.
Yeah.
Like, the guy who's killing all these people, because at first he's like killing them out of like, these are bad people. Like, I just, even like when he came out with his gun, this is basically not exactly the Punisher, but a version of that character in that sense. But then he just wants to become a serial killer, which is not the Punisher. But basically, like, his whole kind of like, I'm killing people for a moral code because these are bad people, like, kind of thinking at first. I was like, oh, so he's basically doing a riff on the Punisher almost, I felt like. But yeah, I didn't actually even catch on to that, Chris, about this guy in the park, but that makes a lot of sense now, actually.
Well, he just kind of sitting there in the park by himself. That's never a good look. When the kids playing around and there's a guy sitting there on the bench.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
And then he just gets blown away, and then everybody else in the park seems to get freaking wiped out.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, this guy's pumping, you get another news report sort of pumping up all these numbers. And then they get one of the original serial killer's girlfriend. She's up there. And then she's kind of like saying, well, this guy's not really a serial killer. He's more of a spree killer. And then some of her comments are too good. And I wish you guys would stop coming to me with this. I just do a podcast. I'm not some sort of expert.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that killer, gets that news and goes, oh, well, I guess those are the rules. Those are the rules. I got to start all over again. And then it moves to a confrontation between our two original killers. And they seem to be at odds. And freaking they start fighting. The other guy comes in. There's 3 people going at it now. And then out of the blue, there's the original record holder. He comes out of the woodwork. And he's back. Looks like he's back in business too. Nobody wants to let this record go. And just things go crazy from there. Like there's just.
But then there's the guy that shows up that's like a cop or whatever, right?
The father too.
Yeah, which we find out is the father of the girl they're all trying to kill in this scene, essentially, the podcaster. And then he arrests these guys, but then they get away. Like, he leaves them in the truck, like the paddy wagon.
Yeah.
And then they introduce the next part of
it. And the daughter, the podcast girl, or the daughter, or the girlfriend, whatever you want to call her, she's now a prisoner of the original serial killer.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I didn't think they could ramp this up anymore, and they freaking not even cranked it up a notch. They just cranked it up like 5 notches. It's crazy.
I literally said last episode when we talked about this book, I'm like, I don't know how they are going to wrap this up in one more issue. I said that. I'm like, there's no way. But I did not expect them to, like you said, like raise the stakes in the way that they did in this book, in this issue. This is arguably actually one of the best issues of this miniseries. Like, I thought, like the way like everything kind of unfolded. Kyle Starks is just a master at pacing, I feel like.
Yeah, and then now those two, the original 2 serial killers are now arch enemies because, they kind of broke the code, and, they were hinting at that they were being friends. Like, when they're fighting, oh, I'm sorry I have to do this because you're my friend. He's, oh, you're my friend. Wow. But they still decided to try and kill each other. And then, I guess they're locked together in the paddy wagon. And he's like, well, you broke the rules, and now I'm going to have to make you suffer and die, whenever. So there's a lot of balls up in the air again. And, they got murder written all over them.
Yeah, so I guess he's gonna approach this just like he does with that other one, Where Monsters Lie. The fact that he's writing 2 different stories like this in these miniseries right now is impressive, I gotta say. And they're both equally and like outside of like one another entertaining. Like it's
Yeah.
not even like they're the same thing.
Yeah, they're not in the same story. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely in the same vein in terms of maybe the genre or maybe like, but the fact that they're both equally entertaining, I'm really impressed by Kyle Starks, honestly, and I can't wait till the next one. The way he left this miniseries,
And what did Marvel get Kyle Starks to do? Wasn't it that freaking the dogs or something?
yes,
The pets nuts. This
yes.
is what he writes, and he has to go to Marvel and like, he didn't like that wasn't his first idea. He pitched to them.
Well,
That's crazy.
even for DC, even DC has tapped him to do better things. They tapped him to do
Yeah.
Peacemaker miniseries. He also in one of the Batman
Didn't he do
anthologies.
the Peacemaker thing you're talking about? That was good stuff.
That was good. And in one of these Batman anthology books, The Brave and the Bold, I haven't read it, but he did a Wild Dog miniseries, which Wild Dog is like basically a Punisher character that they had like back in the 80s that he basically wrote like so like, why isn't this guy writing a Punisher series? He clearly likes the character, right? Yeah. No, but like there's this. He literally did like a Peacemaker miniseries and a Wild Dog miniseries, which those are just other versions almost of that character, right? Like different, but like it seems like he would be really good at a Punisher series, this guy. So like I don't know why
they're not doing a Red Band or something.
Yeah, like we need to get him on something on Marvel because he's just between his Image and Dark Horse stuff and the stuff that he's been doing over at even the DC stuff. It's all been solid, man. So all good stuff.
Set him free.
Yeah. So what'd you give this issue?
I guess a 4.25. It was good stuff.
I agree. Yeah, good issue. And this mini series, I'd probably even go like 4.5. Honestly, I really found this entertaining. 4.25, 4.5 around there. I thought this was a good mini series. I think I'm gonna pick up the trade of this.
Series like this isn't being pushed onto an issue 5 or 6 or
no. As far as I know, this was a 4-issue mini series, and I haven't heard if they're coming back with the 5th issue. But I think what they're gonna do, if I had to guess, because that's kind of like Dark Horse's model, like the Hellboy model, is just put out smaller mini series.
Yeah, it's just gonna pause it or whatever.
Yeah, it's working for Where Monsters Lie. I don't see why he wouldn't do it with this too. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So he's gonna call the next one instead of Those Not Afraid, They're Not Afraid, or so. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Just do it. Just bring it back if that works. If that does better for sales, whatever you got to do at this point.
Yeah,
this is very interesting stuff. I'm liking it. All right, next up we got Batman 159, the continuation of Hush 2, which I think I just read. I saw a solicitation for the hardcover of this, the collection, and I think this is only gonna be 6 issues. This Hush. So I think this is until 164. I think they said the collection is gonna contain. So
I think it's till like August or something.
Yeah.
I think August or something like that. That's what they said when the new.
And then they're gonna relaunch it.
Come out again. Yeah.
Right. And then that's with Matt Fraction, the new number 1. Right? Yeah, that's right. So, what'd you think of this?
I don't know.
Yeah,
art is great. But if the art was going to be the focus of this, this Hush 2, you figure if anybody has any pull onto guide the story, like basically, you should have just been Jim Lee telling Jeff Loeb, look, this is who I want in my story. My first issue, I want to draw these people. The second issue, I want to draw these people. It'd be kind of like a greatest hits of his art, just showcasing his art. And, and you can weave in some baloney Hush story into this, because this is just a baloney Hush story here. Like, what is going on here? They're saving the Joker, and then Red Hood shows up. It's great art. Like, the art carries this story. It's a so-so story that's just been pulled along by great art. We want to see the next page just because it looks so good.
Yeah, it looked fine. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as excited for Jim Lee anymore, despite like him coming back to do this book. I will say it's good Jim Lee. I don't think it's bad Jim Lee. I haven't seen him for a while, and I'm pretty certain the last time I seen him, it didn't look as good as this book has.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's past his prime. This isn't looking like peak Jim Lee, which I've always said actually was the first Hush. For me, that was the peak of his artwork, coming all the way from X-Men all the way up to the Batman stuff when he did work for DC during that period. I think that's the best Jim Lee has ever looked. It was during that period. And so this is not that, but it's still good. I'm happy with the art. The story
Yeah,
is
but
just like
I want to see Superman in here. I want to see freaking Harley Quinn in here. I want to see Punchline in here. I want to see freaking everybody. Like,
yeah.
if this is going to be his write off, it should be like a freaking like a gallery of what he can do here. Even if
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
that was the first Hush, right? And I don't know if they're going to really pack it all into these next 4 issues, but that's essentially the way they went about the first series.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been seeing some other Bat family members, I guess, in this, but otherwise, it's really just been the Joker and Leslie Tompkins so far
Yeah.
in
Here's
this.
supposed to.
Yeah, and you know, it was okay. I mean, you know, yeah, he faced off against Red Hood in this, and then he gets taken at the
Yeah.
end.
What's he doing pulling a gun on him? Like, isn't that his biggest thing is to use guns? But against my family, no problem. I'll crease him.
Yeah, so the story is just whatever. I don't know. Yeah, it's okay. I got really not much else to say about it, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I wasn't like, I didn't think it was terrible, and I don't think it was great. That's kind of where I'm at with it, and the art was good. So, but yeah, I agree. It's not anything to write home about,
Yeah. This Hush is all hype and little substance.
and I think the first Hush obviously it was what it's is way better than this, and this is definitely one of those cases if you can't go home again. I do think this is better so far than the last Halloween. I stopped reading that. I wasn't digging that at
Yeah.
all. But this is like, you know, I'll read through this until the relaunch is, you know, isn't bad. But oh yeah, what'd you think of this new Riddler design that he busted out here? This is kind of like Frank
Yeah.
Miller-ish looking. I felt like he kind of like it's
Yeah. I
weird.
never.
He's got
Maybe
armor.
the figuring out the problem to his jokes there. He wasn't jacked enough.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, what'd you give this?
Yeah. I got to give it a 3.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I read my mind. Then next up, I got a couple here. I got Superman Last Days of Lex Luthor #3, which is the final issue of this mini series that took like 2 years to come out. You know, listen, I'd pick up the hardcover of this. I only picked up the first issue and then I dropped it because it took like fucking a year for the last 2 issues to come out. But I would get this. I like this. I think this is actually one of the better Superman things I've read by Mark Waid more recently. You know, and that's including his stuff like he's done with Batman, Superman, World's Finest. I really liked this. Basically, Lex Luthor has been dying this whole miniseries. Then the last issue, Brainiac shows up trying to kill him and Superman, or kill Superman, and Lex is with him because he's been trying to find a cure for him so he doesn't die. And Superman comes up with a way to basically give him his powers, like give him powers similar to himself, and basically by way of doing that, curing him somewhat. And but Superman then lost a good portion of his powers, and he basically almost sacrifices them to like make sure that he survives because he doesn't want anybody dying under his watch. And Brainiac kind of takes everybody, like he captures all the other heroes, and it's really up to Superman and a now powered Lex Luthor become the only hope to beat Brainiac and basically save the world. And, you know, it's one of those things where Luthor, even despite getting the powers and throwing it in Superman's face and saying, "You're an idiot. I'm never going to do the right thing. Essentially, now you've saved me. And, you know, this is all my plan all along." And, you know, he tried to pull a Luthor on him, essentially. He does the right thing at the end of this, which is basically the opposite of what you would have expected. So, maybe you would have saw it coming, but in a way he kind of throws caution to the wind and everything he believes in, and gives in to himself and his own, you know, feelings towards Superman and everything else. And he has to make a choice where he ends up saving Superman and dying with this planet blowing up that kills Brainiac and himself at the end and sacrifices himself essentially. And that's the story. So I actually kind of like the way it unfolded. I thought the Brian Hitch art was really good with Kevin Nolan on inks, and I got to point that out because when he inks somebody, it kind of takes on the look of Kevin Nolan's artwork as well. And it's good Brian Hitch for that matter because of that. So I dug this. I thought as like a complete story in 3 issues, oversized issues in this Black Label format, and I think in a collection, it's going to be a nice story to pick up and read. Actually, I thought it was a really great depiction of Superman. I thought it was a good Lex Luthor story. I mean, yeah, maybe some people may have saw this coming and may have called it predictable in that sense, but I liked it. I thought like despite the delays, I really enjoyed this mini series. So I would also give this a 4.25 this week. And I would give the whole mini series that actually. So I was really impressed by this, I got to say. And I'm not one to love a lot of Superman stories. So I feel like when I say I really like a Superman story, I think it's worth checking out. There you go, guys. Just because, like I said, I've tried to read more Superman as of lately because of all the Superman stuff they've been putting out, but I'm not a big Superman fan in general. So there's only like certain Superman stories I've really loved over the years that people have recommended to me or have heard that are really good. And I think this is one of them. I've really enjoyed this. So I look forward to checking out the collection of this when it comes out. Basically, yeah, him and the Justice League, everyone's saved at the end. And here's Luthor sacrificing himself for Superman, saving him. Next up, Minor Arcana number 6. I don't have the art for this one, but yeah, this is basically not much happens in this series issue to issue. It's your general Jeff Lemire, almost slice of life with a supernatural twist, kind of that he adds to certain stories, like like even Fish Flies that we read. But this is like has been more about this girl going back to her old town, reconnecting with her mother, reconnecting with people from that town from her past, and basically getting involved in their lives because she keeps having these flashbacks whenever she interacts or touches somebody's hand or whatever. Like she has these flashbacks of certain times in moments in these people's lives, and there's some connection to her, like in this the psychic shop that her mother ran or whatever. And there's a connection there. She's able to like see into these people's lives and maybe help them as a result of like whatever like supernatural things happening with the psychic store that her mother kind of ran and that she's got a connection to. So there's all this kind of stuff like that. Every issue is basically her connecting with somebody and trying to help them almost. And it kind of feels like one of those shows that's like a procedural almost in that sense. Like who's the person that she's going to interact with this issue or whatever. Right. So there's obviously like, he has a plan in mind, I feel like, for all the people connected to her throughout the town that you've been meeting each issue. But so far, it's just been a really slow kind of pace, I think he's taking to the storytelling. I'll give this a 3.75 out of 5. It's Lemire art and writing, so I'm a fan. Then we got Peacemaker presents Vigilante and Eagly double feature number 2. This still isn't my favorite. It's okay. All good people on it. Tim Seeley, who's one of the co-writers, of course, of the book that we really like, The Local Man, is writing this first story in the double feature with the Vigilante. I think the tone is just like the show for that character. They definitely have it like spot on in that sense. James Gunn actually was a consultant on this story, so it seems like he's just giving them some notes on what to basically write about here. And Mitch Gerards is on art, so all good people involved. The crude humor is there definitely. If you're a fan of the show, I think you'd like this first mini the Vigilante story in this. And then the other one, I would say the Eagly part of this double feature with him and Peacemaker kind of felt like more in line with the Kyle Starks Peacemaker miniseries, which I think, like we always said, if you're a fan of the show, you would like that miniseries. But it also had its own kind of like humor and kind of like DC type of storytelling to it, more so different than the show. I would say that I would highly suggest checking out the Peacemaker miniseries by Kyle Starks over this so far. Between both of these stories in this issue, I still don't think it's as good as that series was personally, but I give this again the 3.5 out of 5. There is some funny moments and some, decent art along the way, but I don't know if I'll be reading more of it. We'll see. Then you got Harley Quinn number 50. I got to show off these covers by David Nakayama. He actually had 2 for this one. He had the regular variant that he's been doing because he's been doing a variant in every issue lately, and also an April Fool's variant for this one. So that was kind of cool. So this one, Schoolgirl Harley Really love that cover. And then
Uh,
this is the April Fool's one with the Joker. I think the David Nakayama covers. I've been loving his covers for this series. And that's where it ends. That's not really all I have to say about this, because we're 50 issues in and probably the fourth creative team in, and this is still trash. In this one, she takes on a giant Harley brain or of some sort. I don't know. I'm so over this book. I'm almost gonna stop talking about it on the show. Like I said, it always ends up on my pull list because we always have Harley Quinn on our pull list. Christine is a huge fan of Harley, and as am I, honestly, for that matter. But this series has just been crap. Yeah, there's the big Harley brain entity thing that she fights in this. I'm just so bored by these stories that they tell in this. And there's this woman that was in her life that she crossed paths with that was like basically a villain in her life, essentially, but she's infatuated with her now and obsessed with her. She can't get her out of her head. And I don't know. I will say I like the artist on this though. Mirka Andolfo. I really like her art. And again, there's always it's never really the artist as much as that the stories that they tell in this series I don't like. It's not the covers, it's not the interior art, it's the stories. There's just no good stories that they're telling with this character, I feel like. So I'll give this a 3 for the art, or I might have even given it less, honestly. So there you go. That's generous. And then finally, G.I. Joe Silent Missions Roadblock number 1, another Silent Missions G.I. Joe issue here. This one's quite literal because Roadblock causes a roadblock of sorts in this issue to save Scarlet. I think that's her, if I'm not mistaken. She's basically taken prisoner in one of the Cobra's vehicles there, and Roadblock causes a roadblock distraction and saves Scarlet. That's the issue. The artist is okay. I think he did some other miniseries for Image that I've seen before. He's more of a newer breakthrough artist, I feel like, to comics, this guy. So they kind of gave a new up and coming dude full reign of this issue, which was cool. But otherwise, he's not like a household name. So and then they come and get rescued at the end. I'll give this a 3.25. All right, Chris. G.I. Joe number 6.
let's see. I think I wanted to get one of the variant covers for this, but I
This
just ended
one?
up getting the. Yeah, I just got the A cover for whatever reason. It didn't come in.
Yeah.
Not bad though. I don't mind the
I
A
like
cover.
that cover, actually. Yeah, I like that one. It's more to do with the story than this one. This is
Yeah,
just
that's for sure.
hey,
But
here's a hot pose. But anyways,
I'll take that every time though.
yeah, fair. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I guess it's the big showdown between Duke and Cobra Commander. And there's some good stuff going on with that. I think what Cobra Commander has that guy in that Cobra bomb or whatever that's about to explode. And I think doesn't Duke sort of hold the Cobra Commander hostage, so he'd get blown up in the bomb too. So he has to end up diffusing it or something.
Yeah.
And I guess the Jews, the Joes, they're taking another freaking beating, it seems. But at the end, this one pulls it out of the fire. You get a Transformer showing up, and it's like, okay, here we go, let's roll. So it's still good stuff. I think it was the end of an arc, and I think it was a satisfying ending.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's still good stuff.
Yeah, I like this. I think the last couple of issues have really solidified its place on the list for now for me, because I wasn't so sure the first couple of issues. But I think the last couple have been really good. And I like the way they ended this arc. There was a lot of action that they were building up to that paid off. I think Tom Riley still looks really good on this book. I don't know what other artists they have planning coming through. I'm sure that there might be other people, but I think the look of it is good and the story is good. So I'm on board still for this series at the moment. So I'm really happy they brought in that Transformer at the end, though, because now they're bridging the whole gap between these two books finally, which I think is taking a while, because we've been seeing a lot of the Transformers in Void Rivals, well, we've seen no connection really, other than I guess
Yeah, other than Energon and like I guess Duke saw one of them.
well, right, but I guess there's small things, but not this big of a thing where one of them shows up because I guess there was also the Cobra, the Energon and the Cobra Commander miniseries. Clearly the ones that counted, it seems like, were Joshua Williams's miniseries more so leading into this main series that he's writing, right? Like that seems to be like the Scarlet one and the other one that we read. What was the other one? Destro haven't really felt as important as those two miniseries that Joshua Williams.
Yeah, like I'm surprised Scarlet's not even part of this book here.
Oh, so I don't know if that's coming later, but it's almost as if like the Joshua Williamson who's writing the ongoing is making sure.
Yeah, like this page right here where you can kind of just see that. I still don't know how they can put that in words and make it sound right.
Yes.
Because you're reading this and you make those sounds in your head and go, that's how it sounds.
It is how it sounds.
Like I could never put words to that sound, and they've done it so often here now. It's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but like it clearly Joshua Williamson's like the miniseries that I did, Duke and Cobra Commander. This is leading into my story. Like, I almost feel like if you read those miniseries, you have to check out the ongoing because he's tying in a lot of the stuff that he established in those series in a sense, right? So, yeah, I'm liking this. I'm liking it. I'm really actually I'm happy that the last couple of issues have been really good. I was down on it for a moment. What'd you give this?
I'll give this a 4.
Yeah, same. Yeah, 4 out of 5. Next up, we got Absolute Martian Manhunter #2.
Yeah, I just read this one online. I've heard a lot of good things about this comic. Everybody's saying it's their pick of the week, the pick of the month. Is the cream of the Absolute universe. I don't know. I don't get it. It's a wacky comic. I give you that.
Chris. Yes. No, I'm with you. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm not getting it either in that sense. It's good. It's just, but
it's wacky. That's for sure. I know who this guy is, and I guess the Martian Manhunt or the Martian, I don't know, avatar or whatever it is that's kind of floating around his head is kind of playing with reality. And this one, it seems to bring him more into a real world, and it's kind of guiding him into what's going to happen or what's going on. It's an enjoyable read, but it's wacky, and maybe it's just too wacky for me, or I don't know enough Martian Manhunter lore. I do like how they explain, that just, when they say Martian, they don't mean sort of from Mars. It just means something that's alien. So that, I don't know if that was part of the lore before, but that makes sense. But yeah, it's an okay read, but it's wacky, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad, but I also don't get the hype that it's getting either, in the sense that I'm not 100% sure what's going on, and I don't think it's holding my interest as much as I had hoped in that sense. I think I'm going to be dropping it in issues and probably checking out the collection of this. If I continue to hear good things, I'll probably read it digitally for the show, at least the next couple of issues. But I don't think I need to be picking this up in issues because I don't know. I don't have a clear idea of what's happening so far, and it might lead to something really interesting. But I also don't think it's like you said, it's not like the best of the Absolute books.
Yeah, like I thought at the end of this they'd be dropping some sort of freaking mind bomb or something, like because everybody's talking so much good about this. But I didn't leave on any sort of giant cliffhanger or anything, or any big reveal that that I could understand. So it's good, but I don't think it's freaking great.
I do love the art. I do love Javier Rodriguez. I'm a big fan of this guy's art. I know it's not for everybody, but I dig it. He always I think he's also coloring it, because usually he has this kind of color palette, all these different interesting colors. So yeah, I like that part of it too. That's the thing. It's just not clicking with me in the way I'd hoped. Even one issue in, I was like, okay, let's see what this one's gonna bring. And I agree with you. I saw a lot of people saying this was their favorite of the week this week. It's not mine. I'll tell you that right now. So
for sure.
I don't know. It's decent. It's just, it's not. I'm with you. I don't get it in that sense. Anyways, what'd you give this?
I'm gonna have to give it a 3.5.
Yeah, same. Yep. Next up, Superman 25.
I think I got a variant cover here. Yeah, I got the Jeff Deckel cover.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's good. I like
The
his stuff.
covers have been hitting pretty good.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Got a nice style to them. They all seem to kind of put all of his covers together. They seem to match almost. There's a big issue, this Superman 25. Who's the artist here? Is this Dan Mora here?
So there's I pretty much everybody that's worked on the book so far is in this issue.
There's
Jamal
great art in this book.
Yeah, Jamal Campbell, Eddie Barrows, and Dan Mora. Yeah, Eber Ferreira. I'm not familiar with that artist, but I know the other three. Yeah,
All good names.
yeah.
And the story was decent. I know about this trope though about a freaking, what do you got in the basement? You got a evil Lex in the basement that they activated, and the real Lex Luthor was, hey, don't do it, don't do it. And you thought, I guess in the previous issues that Lex Luthor was getting his memory back, and everybody thought that, or at least I thought that that was the path that they were going down, that Luthor was become evil. And but it turns out that Mercy's the evil person there. They kind of had their little tryst there, and I guess it turns out Lex Luthor wasn't evil enough for her, so she had to bring out the original, I guess, that they've been creating in the basement. What do they call this, like XL or something?
Yeah.
And I guess he's a formidable opponent, but he just seemed to be too contrived to beat Superman easily or whatever, because didn't he have like some kryptonite eye ray or something that he zapped Superman with? And I guess Lex has to come back. He gets back in his Lex costume, the Iron Man costume there, and they fight things around. But just some other things that are like going on with this All In, or the fallout of this absolute power with these powers floating around. I don't know how that stuff works, because all of a sudden, when Lois Lane's powers disappear. Not that I'm unhappy about it. I didn't mind her having her powers. It seemed good, but I guess one of the reveals here at the end of this issue, I think she loses her powers. So I guess that could mean Zod maybe got his powers back, but I don't think they mentioned anything about that here. I guess you can only guess. And what Superman, isn't he got some like red kryptonite infection or something? And I thought he was all over this kryptonite weakness. Wasn't there a while ago in the Superman series itself, like maybe 10 issues, where they tried to get him with the kryptonite, and he had that sort of werewolf power, and he almost had that freaking big giant kaiju of energy around him. Like he's like, oh, I don't got to worry about kryptonite anymore. And that seems, I guess, I don't remember him losing that power, but it seems that he has.
Was that during that War World stuff that you were
It was
reading?
after the werewolf stuff, when he was messing around with those two kids.
Oh, I don't know if I read that. Okay. So he's not even.
But that might have been like 10 issues ago in the same run here.
Oh, I don't remember that if it's in the same run. I don't recall. Okay. Yeah, no, I'll have to take your word for it.
Pretty sure there's in this stuff here.
Okay.
Unless, it could have been in maybe an action, but I thought it was in here for sure.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah. It was a decent, a lot of good stuff happens, but nothing new, let's say.
I liked it. I thought it was like I'm pretty impressed with how many balls he's had in the air with the plots in this book, though. I will say that. Like the fact that he's trying to, it seems like he's got a lot of plots that like he isn't even touching on issue to issue that are in the background almost. Like even the Doomsday stuff isn't resolved, like that we just right.
He's kind of just got him on ice.
Yeah, he kind of put them on the back burner for a little bit, and then it's just like, now we're on to the next thing. But as he's doing that, there is a through line of the Lex story that's been going on that kind of had some resolving factors in this issue, as well as the Lois thing right now with the way it ended. Yeah. So I'm interested in all of it. I think Joshua Williamson, again, we're praising, I'm saying good things about him. We just talked about him on G.I. Joe. I think he's doing a really good job. And again, I'm not a huge Superman fan, but I think his run has been very good overall. I think it's kept me interested the whole way through. I haven't been buying it, but if they put out a bigger collection of his stuff down the road, I'd definitely pick it up. So it's good stuff. I'm interested to see where he goes from here. Like, it seems like he has a lot of ideas for Superman. I agree with you that it's nothing, like there's all general kind of stuff going on, but it kind of feels like classic Superman comic book type stuff going on here, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. So what'd you give this?
I give this 3.75.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, we got Justice League Unlimited number 5. All right.
Yeah, I just read this one online, and once again, this was what I kind of talked about in the last issue. Like Gorilla God just kind of absorbs Martian Manhunter's powers. Is it's in this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of. I guess he has some sort of low level telepathy, and then he goes, "Oh, I just kind of could feel Martian Manhunter's powers floating in the ether, and they're calling out to me." And he gets the powers here, and then it's interesting how it's revealed that he went to get all these sort of masters of evil, and I imagine they're from different timelines or something, or in different time streams or something like that, and bring them all in, and they're all sort of all behind this Inferno world terrorist organization. I thought that's an interesting point because I wasn't really too keen on this Inferno group when they first were revealed to be, some sort of terror plot, and this stuff with what's his name, this Airwave, sort of getting manipulated by Gorilla Grodd. I wasn't too big on that. I don't know. I just didn't. I can appreciate the story, but I didn't enjoy it.
I thought it was good. I mean, I'm enjoying it still, but yeah, this whole thing is just the focus on him influencing a younger hero that was introduced to the team. This kind of felt like what Wade already did in Batman, Superman World's Finest with that other character that basically, you know what I mean? Like it felt similar, like in the same vein, even though this is different. Like, you know how that younger kid that they brought back from a different time that basically
yeah.
a bad guy. I forgot the name of him, but this kind of reminded me of that where Gorilla Grodd was basically influencing this guy and tricking him into thinking that these guys were against him. I don't know. It felt similar in that sense to the other stuff that Wade had done with a younger character, right? And but I thought the art was good and I thought the story was fun. It, again, just felt like classic superhero comic stuff to me, but nothing over the top or special about it either in that sense. Like, yeah, the Legion of Doom kind of reformed at the end, which was kind of cool. But I think between the two books that he's writing this crossover for, at the end of the day, I think it'll be a fine story. But if that's your kind of thing and you want to you're looking for more basic classic Justice League type stories, I think this is where this is going to be more than enough for you. I kind of feel similarly with some of the stuff, like I just said, that he's doing with Superman right now, because Superman's usually a tough sell. This is very safe storytelling. I feel like some of these stories that they're doing in these, right? So there's nothing wrong with it, but nothing new to write home about either.
Yeah.
What'd you give this?
It is good art, and it was an okay story. I'll give it 3.75.
Yeah, that's what I'm giving it to. 3.75 out of 5. Absolute Wonder Woman number 7.
Wonder Woman number 7. I can say the art is great for this one.
Yeah.
I got a variant cover here. I don't think it's the one I ordered, but it's still a decent cover.
That's a nice one. I like that. Yeah.
But one of these storytelling mechanics here, I think they use it here and in Spiral City. I just don't like this, where it's the kind of this one here more often, where she's going back into the past and her mother's telling her the story about the lady and the tiger, and then I guess at the end it's was it though, like the guy's lover is behind one door and the tiger's behind one door, and then the judge will sort of give somebody a hint as to what's what behind the door, and it's never revealed sort of what's behind the door. And you're always thinking, or the princess and the prince or something like that. And I don't know. Anyways, whatever that baloney kid story was going on, I guess it sort of plays into the action that's happening now, where I got Wonder Woman sort of fighting. It's Hades, right?
Yeah.
And then she's almost in the exact same situation, but I guess here she realizes that she's neither the prince nor the princess. She's the tiger or something like that.
Yeah, and Hecate, the other person that's with Hades here, the other god, basically had helped her in a way by
they kind of pull a fast one on him.
On Hades, yeah, exactly. She planted something in her literally there's like a planting kind of thing going on where she was able to use some seed that she gave her to save her ass here in this situation. And
Yeah.
the big thing, like the important thing about this, what happened here moving forward, is that she's only allowed to visit hell now once a year or something. 1 month a year she has to spend going back to hell. But in a way, though, she was able to save her mother in this situation, her mother figure there, and then be basically given the permission to spend her time on Earth now, essentially outside of hell. Like, so that was the whole thing, because they were trying to keep her there, and now she's allowed to come. She can still come see her mother and visit, but she's not allowed to be there 11 months out of the year, which I thought was kind of an interesting kind of story beat for this overall kind of. That's kind of interesting, because now we know where she's going to spend most of her time on Earth as opposed to hell. So I thought that was kind of interesting to add that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I thought the art was great. The blue eyes on Wonder Woman there in some of those early scenes, very piercing. And then she almost got that dark seed thing there when she was fighting. That's all great stuff.
I think that I'm happy this was only 2 issues, and then we're going.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's all it needed to be was 2 issues.
I think that was very smart on their part. They're like, yeah, let's tell like a little side story, and then we're gonna go back to the main story.
Yeah, I gotta get back to business, see what's going on in the world.
I agree with you though that I'm happy they brought on another really good artist for this
story.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. That's kind of like, I wouldn't say the story's bad, but I was just more interested in what was happening before. So the fact that they brought on a good artist to tell this 2-parter, and then we're going back to the main artist and everything else, I'm really happy about that. So what'd you give this?
I give it a 4. I like this.
Okay, I'm gonna give it 3.75, a little bit more than I would story wise. I thought the art was fantastic, though. I'll give it 3.75. Next up, we got Black Hammer Spiral City number 5. Maybe the bleakest of stories going on in comics today.
That's why I want to read this story, man.
It's good.
The story is great.
It is. I don't have my issue. I don't really buy this. They had to reorder it for me. I don't know what happened there, but anyways, go on.
The story's great, but they start out with this freaking, again, this little stupid prince or something, and some stick figure comic about the prince he wasn't liked in his town, and he had to become a knight and go fight in the dungeons. The dungeon's closed.
Yeah, I didn't even
enough of that baloney. Get rid of it. I want to see this guy fighting in the freaking pits.
I didn't even show those pages. I didn't even show those pages on the art here. I agree with you. That's why I didn't even put them up in the art here today. I didn't even add them.
But the rest of the story is so good, and not even the stuff that's going on with I know what his name is, Black Hammer, but the stuff with that girl there where the father is running for mayor.
Yes.
He rails into her, and it's just bleak, like I say, bleak, bad stuff. And then there's that third story, I guess, with I don't know what those crickets or cockroaches or whatever they are. They're running a detective agency, and they're just getting freaking cooked. Everybody's getting cooked. This guy's coming back. He's sleeping with his wife. Oh, I thought you said it'd be easy. Oh, don't worry. Nothing I can't handle. And, and he's just doing this for the money. It's, and just like the color, it's all gray. Yeah. There's no color in this whole story. It's good, but it's bad, or it's bad, but it's good.
I 100% agree with you, but it's super compelling storytelling going on here.
Yeah.
I think Lemire, I've never seen Lemire go this fucking bleak. It's really weird, to see him go this, but I'm digging it all the same. Yeah, and I think the art matches the tone of the book in that sense, and the coloring. Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you said there, Chris. Yeah, it's really good. I'm liking it a lot, and this is actually what Black Hammer needed, because if you remember, when you weren't even reading the series, I talked about more recently prior to this, that miniseries, The End, which was like the end of a story that he'd been telling for several years of doing Black Hammer comics. And then he wrapped up whatever that storyline was, and he came back with this. And I was like, oh, what the hell is this now? Because I thought he was done. And this is the jolt that this series needed, honestly. Like, he went a completely different direction, and I've really been enjoying this. I just learned that this is only going to be 7 issues, though. So 2 more issues to go, which I'm not mad at. But I'm interested to see where this leads, and I'm hoping there's more after that, because I think this has been really solid so far. So Yeah, and yeah, this whole politician story with the daughter, I agree, very interesting stuff. The most tragic one for me though is that inspector guy,
Yeah.
see, that one's just like, what are you doing, man? He's like, I used to be a good detective back in this other world, but now I don't
Like,
even
no,
know what I'm
probably
doing.
like when they're in their imaginary world.
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
it's so good back there.
He's like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. They're like living in like a shitty, like
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. It's like a slum, basically. I don't know what's going on.
I don't
Yeah,
know what's going on there, but
yeah, it's great.
it's
Good
rough.
stuff, though. Yeah. What'd you give this?
Yeah, that's 4.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 for sure. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'd probably even go 4.25. 4.25, I'd say this week. It was good.
Yeah.
Deadpool Wolverine number 4.
I don't know what to say about this. It's fun reading. They got zombies coming in, I guess, and they're all under control of Strife, and Strife they try and tell some story about the world being at a tipping point, and that's why he's here. And it seemed that Deadpool and Wolverine were both working for him at one time, and then he told him to run away. It's just some good, whatever, slash 'em up action. I thought they'd go heavier on the, slicing and dicing those zombies. Those claws that are supposed to go through steel like butter, so they should be going through flesh and bone like water. He could just be, giving the old whirlwind and just spinning around and wiping them out. I don't know why they're so concerned about a freaking zombie horde coming at them. And then, of course, if the zombie bites them, they got some, I don't know, some freaking psychic power there that gets stuck in Wolverine. And I guess he's on board with Strife's plan now, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, not bad though. Yeah, I like the stuff with Nick Fury there. It's always nice seeing him pop up, even though it's not a big part of the storyline. But even Strife himself, I don't know where he comes from, but he's okay. It's a fun read, but I don't think it's affecting any mainline continuity.
Listen, I'm enjoying it, but I fully admit this is like a popcorn kind of like entertainment, like action kind of, you know what I mean? Like this is like a popcorn movie essentially for me. This comic, here's my takeaway, and I've said it probably in previous issues. Joshua Cassara, the artist on this series, is fantastic. So I will continue reading this series as long as he's the artist on it.
Yeah.
Of course, we saw him previously on the X-Men Krakoa stuff. He drew X-Force stuff with and that other Wolverine series that with Benjamin Percy. I'm sure that's why he got him to talk him into doing this with him. I just love his art. I think it's great. So like that's for me. That's I'll continue reading. Like he's hitting like a nice like. I don't know. I am liking what he's doing here, but it's not great. It's enjoyable though. It's like I said, it's an action flick. Percy's at his best when I think he's like this, to be honest with you. He's not that good of a writer. I think he knows that. So like, I think he kind of has to write to his strengths, which I think is what we're seeing here in this issue, right? In this series for that matter. So I'm enjoying it. Listen, I'm not perfect, Chris.
Oh, got a little dark there. Sorry.
Oh, we got the energy saver, Chris, over there. What'd you give this?
I got to give it a 3.5.
Ooh, I'll give it a 3.75 out of 5. All right. Speaking of Percy, Predator versus Spider-Man #1. Oh, you picked this up, Chris.
He had it. I didn't pull it, but I did see the preview.
No, it's okay.
And it looked good.
I didn't know you picked it up.
I picked it up.
Okay.
He goes, hey, you want to saw Predator vs. Spider-Man? Oh, fuck yeah, I'll get it.
Fair enough. Yeah. Again, this is Percy at his absolute action best. What'd you think of this?
I don't know what this Percy guy does. He's writing some duds. This is a fucking masterpiece. I love this. Like, I know it was after reading the Spider-Man #1. This is the Peter Parker I want. First of all, this is the world of Spider-Man I want him to be living in. He's like freaking. At least he's still working at the Bugle, but he seems to be. He's not just a photographer anymore. It looks like he's some investigative journalist. J. Jonah Jameson seems to, kind of live and die in his world. He's there, undercover, in the space suit, whatever. You don't even know it's him. And then the the cop is like, "Oh, if you guys aren't there, who was I talking to?" And you see him flipping away, and then he runs into another one. He's calling J. Jonah Jameson, whatever, Wolf. We got a big story on the line here. There's a serial killer on the loose, and then the city is hot. There's no power. Everybody's sweating. And then they lose power. Then Mary Jane's stuck in the tunnel, and the freaking predator's coming out after her. Oh, and then at the end, the big reveal. Who else shows up there? Of course, we're gonna have the ultimate predator. You gotta have the ultimate hunter. And fucking gore in here. I love this comic. I can't believe it. I loved it.
Wow.
I'm starting to think twice about these 20th century studios.
Yeah.
I think they took the handcuffs off Benjamin Percy here and said, "Hey, this is your world. You can do what you want. You don't got to worry about continuity." And he went to town.
I mean, other than the Aliens Avengers one that Hickman's wrote, he's written all the Predator ones. He's written all of them. He even wrote the
the first one there. It started out with the bang though too.
Wolverine sucked by the end. Yeah, for sure. I didn't like this nearly as much as you did, but
I loved it.
But I will say, like I was just saying about Deadpool Wolverine, and this is kind of a gripe about it, but at the same time, if I get more into it, I can get with what I'm about to say. Everyone was written so out of character in this book. Like, for me, I know you're saying this is the fight that you want,
but that's because the way they're written in character absolutely freaking stinks.
Right. So yeah. So at least he's leaning into, it seems like the way he's writing this book is that this isn't even taking place in like actual continuity, which it shouldn't, because it's a Predator Spider-Man comic, right? This part where he wears the mask of the human, I was like, whoa, that's fucked up. I'll give you that. I thought that was pretty crazy. And other than that, I thought like some of the other things were wildly written out of character, but in a very entertaining way where he was leaning into it. I think knowing that if I were to continue reading this now, I can really get with it, with the tone. But for me, it was a little jarring reading this going into it because I thought it was going to be a little bit more in the Marvel universe as opposed to this is just a wild offshoot. Yeah, no, I think that's the right choice though. I think I just was thinking one thing and he was going completely different. You could even argue he's writing this differently than he even wrote the Deadpool Wolverine series in that sense, right? So some crazy visuals in this, obviously, though. Also, I will say, the last character I would ever expect dealing with this type of story would be Spider-Man. So that also makes it very interesting. Like, he doesn't deal with, this is like a Wolverine story almost. He doesn't deal with like serial killers skinning people, right? Like, what's going on here?
Wow. If he stayed as a journalist, then, just expanded his horizons, which he did here in this world. He'd get the respect of J. Jonah Jameson. They lose power. He's out there hawking newspapers on the corner. And Craven shows up.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The first time I've liked seeing Craven.
That was sick. I think that's the perfect guy, obviously, because he's also a hunter. He's like, did you say hunter? Or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was sick. That ending got me on board for the next issue, though. I'll tell you that much. Sure. Yeah. Good stuff. Not bad. You definitely did hype it up more. Like, as I'm talking about it, I'm having fun talking about it. So I'll give you that. Or it might be the fact that I just almost drank this huge beer. But what'd you give this, Chris?
I give it a 4.25.
I was like, whoa.
No. That was the last number, not the first number. 4.25 though. Yeah.
I'll go 3.75 for this one. I have to say fuck under your breath. Calm down over there. X-Men 15.
X-Men 15.
Yeah.
I'm glad they have this Bengus cover here because I was ready to drop X-Men. This one might bring me back. I think I have another variant cover coming for the next one too. Yeah. So I think this is more in line with some X-Men stories. I still think it's stupid that whatever this Piper Cobb's mutant was eaten in the womb there. And I think when they bring out these new, every time they bring out these new whatever, these kind of lost mutant characters, their powers are just way too wacky. Like this one here, I don't know what he turns into a meat monster or something, but I do like, they're bringing in a lot of freaking some heavy duty players here. That Cassandra Nova, I think her being in there, I'm not familiar with her much, but since I saw her in the Deadpool movie, seems like she's a big character and a worthy foe, let's say. So, and the art here, finally, it's this is back to Stegman here, I think.
Yep. Yep.
Like they could have got this guy, putting a few issues together. Maybe he saw how those crossovers were playing. He goes, yeah, okay, I'll stay out of these ones here. I'll just stick to some good stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
And and the big reveal of some new X-Men or X-Men 3K, whatever they call them. I don't know. They could have made them a little bit more splashy or I don't know, more eye-catching or something. They didn't, like the big reveal there wasn't. It's not like, oh, I got to see what these characters are all about.
Right.
But it's still interesting, and we'll see what's going on.
Yeah, this wasn't bad. I mean, at this point, if I'm going to stick with only one X-Men book, I guess it'll be this, through the good and the bad, because I don't plan on reading any really other ones at this point. I feel like on my pull list. I think I agree with you. Stegman was really good on the last couple of issues. I will say the best thing I think about Stegman, his art as it's developed over the years, is he has great sense for like action layouts. Like every page has a very interesting angle or like moment happening. Like a lot of this stuff, like a lot of these moments that he has in here, like I can just do another quick flip through. Like this is really cool. This was really cool. Like just like the things he tends to focus on and put into the perspective on the page, or just the like type of choices he makes. Even if you don't like his style of art, I think he's making really cool choices for like the stuff that he chooses to draw, like the way he chooses to draw these things. So like I'll give him that. Like even if you're not a fan of his art, which I am, but I think like it's interesting the stuff that he's doing in his artwork these days, and he's definitely gotten better over the years, in my opinion. Like there's some cool scenes in this issue, even if you're not enjoying the story. Yeah, and this is kind of cool at the end where they kind of introduce all these other people here, and I guess we'll see where this goes. It wasn't bad. I agree with Chris, with what Chris is saying. It does feel more like a traditional X-Men book now, at least, like the last couple of issues. Get away from those crossovers, just let those other books die. That's enough of that stuff, right? Like, just focus on their story here, Jed. What'd you think? What'd you give this?
I'll give it 3.75.
Yeah, same. All right, and lastly, you got Amazing Spider-Man #2 here. Yeah.
I also got a variant cover here. I saw this sort of last minute.
Ah, yeah.
Got the Villa Lobos. I don't know. I didn't see this when they had the solicitations out. But
same. I didn't see it either. I saw it on the stands too, and I didn't pick it up. But I'm like, why didn't I pre-order that? I didn't see that listed. Yeah, same.
And then then I saw I think I saw something a couple of weeks ago that was out there. They're hey buddy, called my LCS. Hey, you think you can get this? Yeah. And I guess he was able to. That's a sick cover, even though it has nothing to do with the story. But that would definitely make the wall. But as for the story itself, I wasn't too keen on this first Spider-Man issue #1. The second one here, I don't know. I guess he was just crazy the whole time, so he kind of was going through his memory with a bunch of stuff. So it's kind of funny there, like where I guess there he's throwing that key around, but you don't really know what's going on. You don't know if he's fighting somebody or if he's just kind of he's like fight clubbing himself there or something and just throwing stuff around.
He's tripping out. He's tripping.
Yeah,
right? Like, yeah, I like it.
It was better than I thought it'd be. There was a nice scene there where Spider-Man's kind of trapsing around Ravencroft with Shay there, and he's trying to, I don't know why he'd be even freaking trying to, mine some information out of her about Peter Parker. If things do get good, he's gonna have to figure out one day, tell her who he is. So he should just kind of lay low. He shouldn't be playing that angle. But otherwise, there's some nice art here, though. That's for sure. Like, just a chance to see this Green Goblin. You almost want to see the Goblin come back just because of this.
Yeah.
And then, you just see him, he kind of comes to his senses there. It's just Harry Osborn or whatever, Norman Osborn, and Norman Osborn's out trying to help him. I still don't know what's going on with Norman Osborn. I think at the end of the last series, they thought he was back to the Green Goblin, and he seems to be fighting his evil tendencies still. So
He
maybe
staved it off
that's
somehow. Yeah.
yeah, maybe that's a story for another time now. Who knows? But and this at the end there, with the stuff with what's that? The Hobgoblin, and
Yeah.
they're talking with some unknown character that was revealed at the end. You know, this is a new character to me, this Itsy Bitsy, and supposedly that's some sort of clone of Spider-Man and Deadpool. Is that what it is, or is this just is that
Um,
something else?
I'm not familiar with this character either, Chris, but that would make sense because if that's the case, I believe that's a character from Joe Casey's
It is,
run.
yeah, it is a Joe
That's
Kelly's Joe Kelly
Joe
character,
Kelly,
let's
sorry,
say.
not Joe Casey. I always mix those two writers up. Joe Kelly did a run on a series, Spider-Man Deadpool. So that's probably where she's from. Yeah. So I actually didn't know that. So yeah. So thanks for that information. I didn't know. Like, so this is a character, I'm sure, from his run on that series. If it's an amalgamation of, it makes sense because she's got the swords and she got this.
I don't know, and if this is a tease that Deadpool might be coming to the series sooner or later,
I would not
that
be surprised. He loves
that
it.
that would give me hope, and that would bring some interest back into this.
Joe,
Where
yeah, Joe Kelly has written a lot of issues of that series with those two characters, so I would not be surprised if he shows up. Honestly, that you say that. So, Pepe Larraz is great artist. I think the book looked good, and it kept my interest. I agree this was better than the first issue. I believe that's what you were saying. I agree in that sense. I thought it was good. I like that he was tripping out most of the issue because again, it's kind of putting Spider-Man in a situation we don't see as often. And it gave a good opportunity for Pepe to be able to draw those characters like this. Yeah. So I thought just in that sense, this was an enjoyable issue for that matter. Yeah. But I guess we'll see if he actually has a worthwhile story moving forward to tell for Spider-Man.
well, seeing how Batman and Spider-Man seem to copy each other, maybe the next Hush is Batman's going to trip out and just kind of visualize all these characters that Jim Lee can draw.
Yeah, maybe. So you're right, though. There is a lot of copying in that sense. What'd you give this?
Yeah, it's 3.5 though. It's a good 3.5, not a bad 3.5.
I'll give it 3.75. All right, that's going to do it for the comics that we read this week that we wanted to talk about. Chris, what are you looking forward to checking out next week?
Let's see if I got the stuff loaded up here. Oh yeah, so Ultimate Spider-Man 16. I'll try and read Fantastic Four 31. We got some of these free comic book day stuff. Is that next weekend?
Yeah, it's
So
actually
that wouldn't be for Wednesday. That'd be next. That'd be over the weekend, right?
this Saturday it comes out. Yeah.
Oh, like in
Free comic book day is this Saturday.
oh yeah, it's May 1st.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll read this Godzilla versus Spider-Man because it seems all these Godzilla ones have been pretty decent.
That's the Nick
Spider-Man.
That's the Nick Bradshaw one, drawn one. That's the one worth checking out. Yeah, that's probably the one that I would say is the most worth checking out of everything one, honestly.
Yeah. Then we got Hell Hunters 5. Looking forward to that. Rogue Savage Land. There is a nice cover there. I know how I missed it. This Ivan
They got it.
Talavera cover. Oof.
Yeah, I got it pre-ordered.
That's a nice one.
You just put me onto his other cover, the Mary Jane one that you told me about.
And that's it. Not a spicy cover or anything. I just thought it looks good.
Good looking cover. Yeah, I agree.
There's the Weapon X-Men. I might read that. I saw some previews for this Kitty Pryde and Wolverine. I was not impressed.
Ooh.
And I think that's all I'm going to be reading from Marvel. I don't think it's a very big week, though, all around. DC. Wow, there's really nothing in DC coming up next week. There's a long Halloween if you like that. The Question, I know you read that. Let's see. Image. Void Rivals, Hyde Street. The Seasons. And what's this? Duke #1. I don't know, the G.I. Joe. I don't know. Maybe I'll see what that's about. That's about it. So maybe a smaller week.
Ones I'm picking up physically, I got Batman, Superman, World's Finest, Detective Comics 2025 annual. Oh yeah, this G.I. Joe Duke is the Wes Craig drawn one, which I'm definitely picking up. I'm getting that. Then you got Godzilla versus Spider-Man. I got 3 covers for that. All Nick Bradshaw variants. So that's why I picked them up. I like Nick Bradshaw a lot, obviously, and he's drawn the interiors on that one. Rogue Savage Land. I also got 3 covers for that. Including the one that you mentioned, the J. Scott Campbell one, and the one by our boy Kari Andrews. I got all 3 of those. And Ultimate Spider-Man 16. So even though I'm only grabbing like 4 comics, it's more like 10 comics because the look what you started, Chris. It's all your fault. I blame you. What else we got here? I don't think I'm gonna read Long Halloween. Question All Along the Watchtower. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna read that. I'm looking at things I'm reading digitally now. Image. I don't think there's much else here. No, that's basically it for Image, I think. Void Rivals, of course. Yeah. We're taking down everyone with us. Number 2 is coming out next week, which we like the first issue. Yeah. That was the James Bond kind of like the daughter of the bad guy kind of comic. Yeah, that was good. I'll check that out. Marvel Doom Academy 3, maybe Fantastic Four 31. I'll definitely read that because that Ryan North is doing that and he's doing the event, so that'll be worth checking out. Red Hulk, maybe. I've been kind of liking where that's going. So yeah, basically One World Under Doom tie-ins. I don't like buy physical release of. And then Nick, you said Weapon X number 3. All right, so that's gonna do it for things we're looking forward to reading next week. Your favorite book of the week, Chris?
There were some contenders this week, but I got to give it to Predator versus Spider-Man. I just loved the tone. I loved it all the way through.
Yeah,
I figured. I expected it to be garbage.
I figured that was going to be your pick based off of the way you talked about it. You know what? I don't know. Hold on. Let me just take a look at everything that came out here. You know what? I think I'm going to give it to Those Not Afraid number 4. I liked it a lot.
That's a contender.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to that. Crazy. I don't have the actual issue to show you, but yeah, I got to go with that because I think out of everything here, it's between that and probably Black Hammer this week for me. Yeah. I think those are the 2 right there. I could say that came closest to Superman Last Days Lex Luthor was good too. I did like how that wrapped up, but not No's Not Afraid number 4 for sure. Yeah. So there you go. Those are our favorite books of the week. Interesting. It's been interesting picks this year. It's interesting to see how long we've been doing the show, how our interests have been kind of, evolving or changing or like depending on how good certain books are, switching up the way they have been. Right. So it's always a lot of fun to talk about comics. So make sure to check us out once again next week. As always, like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Take it easy.
Later.